Alright, so today we're going to make French onion soup, and as you might guess, it requires onions. And it also requires beef stock, and that's pretty much it. We'll be adding a few other things, but if you want to strip it down to its bare essentials, that's all it is. And a little bit of like oil to sweat down the onions. So the first thing we need to do is cut up a bunch of onions. Alright, so what I have are 2 yellow onions and 2 like these sweet onions. They're a little bit older, but all onions are beautiful underneath. You just have to peel them far enough. Alright, so now all of the onions have been peeled, and we just have to slice them into very fine like slivers, I guess. So you want to cut it with the like grains, the like lines on the onion. If you cut across to make like the half moons, you're going to be cutting more of the onion cells, and you're going to just cry a little bit more. No one likes that. So yeah, just take the onion and just slice it like that. It doesn't have to be like super fine. These are going to cook down quite a bit into a jam. And we're going to like really deeply caramelize them without like searing them. That's a very common mistake. But for now, I just need to cut up the onions. And if you have onion scraps laying around, you can also use those. It doesn't have to be the slivers. Is just like if you're using unused onions already, this is just the best way to do it. Alright, cool. So now the next thing to do is to just get our onions all caramelized and everything. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to do that. Alright, cool. So now it is time to saute the onions. So I just need to get this on heat. I'm going to use a little bit of our clarified butter that we just made. Put in maybe 2 tablespoons, so it was a lot, but that's okay. It'll just make it taste good. And we don't want this to get ripping hot. We don't want it to immediately sear, so we can just pretty much immediately put in the onions. Yes, this looks like a lot of onions, and it's a lot of onions, but it's going to cook down to about like that big. You're just going to have to trust me, it's going to cook down a ton. But that also means this is going to take a while. This might take like 2 or 3 hours to fully cook down. So I just turned it down to medium heat, and I'm going to be stirring it very regularly. You need to stir it very, very frequently, otherwise your onions are going to stick and burn, and that is really bad. It only takes 30 seconds to mess this up, but it takes like 3 hours to make. So have fun, and we'll check back in a little bit. And I'm just going to be stirring this pretty regularly. So right now, let's turn the light on. Right now this is the perfect time to salt this. the onions have started to wilt a little bit. And the salt, adding the salt will just help break the onions down a little bit, and it'll add to the final seasoning. Pretty important. Don't put sugar in there. If you put sugar in there, it just means you are trying to like cover up your burnt flavors if you mess up. Alright, as you can see, it's reduced down quite a bit. Still no color on it. Even though it's reduced a lot, it'll still reduce quite a bit more. And we're only about a third of the way through. This is gonna get really, really condensed and very darkly caramelized. Alright, cool. So as you can see, the onions have reduced down quite a bit. If you remember, it was like overflowing before, and now it's just that much. So I think it's caramelized enough. It didn't burn at all. Stirring constantly. I have been standing here for the past 3 hours stirring these onions. But it's worth it. These things are so good. You can just eat them like this, and they're delicious. The natural sugars in them have caramelized. It's very sweet. It's really good. I highly recommend everyone make this, and it's worth it. It's worth all the effort. So now it's time to, if you wish, to add some form of alcohol. That can be red wine, white wine, brandy, bourbon, Calvados, whatever. They all work and they're all good. So I'm gonna add some red wine because it's all that I have right now. About 3/4 of a cup. I'm gonna turn the heat up a little bit. Be sure to scrape down the pot. I'm not gonna add flour to it because the onions are thick enough to like make the soup nice and thick. If the stock is really good, you especially don't need to add flour. But unfortunately, the stock that I made in the last video, it didn't have any of the connective bones or whatever, so there was no real gelatin in it, so it doesn't have any actual body, but it does have a lot of really great flavor. And that was, it's okay, it doesn't matter. So this smells really good. Just gonna let this reduce a little bit, and then we'll add the beef broth, or the beef stock. So now it is time to add the beef stock. The wine has reduced quite a bit, and yeah, it's ready. So this is about, oh shit, it's about a quart. You can add more or less, it doesn't matter too much, it's all about your personal preference. So I'm going to let this reduce a little bit, just a little bit. And I need to add the sachet, which, if you're wondering about that, it's because I forgot to make it. So yeah, let's make it. All right, cool. So now it is time to make the sachet, which is the same sachet ingredients that I've been using to make all the stops. Parsley, thyme, bay leaf, garlic, and peppercorns. And the reason why it's called a sachet is actually because we make a sachet out of cheesecloth and butcher's twine. This is so that we can just put it in soups and then pull it right out without like having to fish around for everything, and yeah, just makes it so much easier. So just add all of the ingredients, just like that. Kind of destroyed this garlic clove. And then just go like this. And there we go. Now we just add this to the soup. And just add it right in, like that. And we'll take this out in about 45 minutes or whenever, when it's done. All right, cool. So it's been simmering for about 15 minutes, maybe 20 or so. We're almost done. I'm gonna start seasoning it to taste. So just, it's really important. There are different types of salt. This one is fairly flaky. It's not very dense, and it's very quick to dissolve. There are some salts, like table salts, that are very, very dense and take quite a while to dissolve. So if you're seasoning with some of those, don't put in like massive pinches of salt. And be sure to wait like 5 or 10 minutes before tasting, because if you taste too early, the salt won't be dissolved, and then your soup will be oversalted. So, taste. Like I said, this dissolves pretty quickly, almost instantly. So, right now it's kind of like it won't taste any saltier in the near future. It's really good. I should have put the flour in. It's lacking a little body. I was wrong. But yeah, it's really good. I'm gonna let this simmer a little bit more. Yeah, I think it's good. So now with the sachet, just get in there and scoop it out. So just take this and discard it, and press it to get all of the really good juices out of there, because it will absorb some, and it's pretty flavorful. You want that in your soup. So now it is ready to serve, I guess. So just like that, and one of these, and you have French onion soup. You could put like a crouton or with like cheese on it, or like puff pastry, and then broil it. But I'm not going to do that because it's really good by itself, and I also forgot. So yeah, this is great by itself. I hope you enjoyed. Please do make this. And it's just really good. Highly recommend. All right, thank you, and yeah, have fun.